Oh, yes. Uh-huh. You know, I bought a house on December 14th of 2000, and I paid tax and excise tax $1,338.75. Now, I bought this from an unmarried woman, right? Paul C. Budnick, a single man. Now, we had actually planned to go to Kosovo to get married, yes. And you got a copy of the United Nations marriage certificate. Poop. Now, I bought this as a single man before I got married. And I really started thinking about these deeds. Yeah. Could you get me all the deeds of every piece of property owned by every oath of office? Yes. Where the Secretary of State has a copy of their oath of office. Now, quite often somebody said, well, Paul didn't provide for his family. Yes, he's been trying to run from his financial obligations. Oh. But I would say that any man that planned to marry a woman that wanted to buy a nice little place for them, yes. So that when they got back from their marriage, she would have a place to live, as would the two exchange students that I was hosting. Yes. Now, this was in the state of Washington, the county of Clallam. Yeah. You know, I noticed that there seems to be a top secret way of understanding the state auditor's websites. Yes, as well as the county treasurer websites. Now, let's say that you said that I was crazy. Yes. But the truth of the matter is, I had actually taken out the equity of this house. Yes, to buy a house in Vancouver so that we can move there so that Heidi's biological daughter could go to the Washington State School for the Blind. Oh. Now, I took the equity out. Yes. I purchased the house across the street from there. Yes. And we moved there, and then I sold this house. Yes. And then I paid the house off. Oh. Heidi had no ownership of it because we were not married at the purchase of the house, but I moved her right in, carried her across the threshold. Boo! You can appreciate how exciting I was to be married for the first time. Now, this idea that Squim, Washington has no obligation to me because I haven't paid taxes, pooh. You know, I've heard it said that unless you pay taxes, that law enforcement, does not have to provide you the protection of law enforcement because they're not receiving any taxation from me as a citizen. Why don't you add up the total amount of property taxes that I paid from the various residents I've owned? Pooh! And then there's always that income tax. Yes. And then there's the sales tax of the state of Washington. Oh. Now, this deed reconveyance, yes. The Washington Mutual Bank, the originating beneficiary, yeah. I must have done something here, maybe a refinance considering interest rates or something. Yes. Look at that. Now, it looks to me that I did not see that if you're an employee of the actual county, you don't pay any property tax. Pooh. You don't pay any sales tax. Ooch. You don't pay any income tax because in your family, you don't pay any tax. Now, Chase, loan services. Let's see, substitution of trustee, deed of reconveyance. Oh, this might have been when Chase bought Washington Mutual. Yes, Chase went through and took ownership of all the deeds. Yes, he did. Must have been something that they got in the purchase price of being able to acquire Washington Mutual as a bank. Yes. Why don't you give me all of the J.P. Morgan Chase Bank? Yes, that in 2005. They reconveyed every one of these. See, trustee in lieu of the above named trustee under the deed of trust, J.P. Morgan Chase. Hey. Now, hereby accepts and appoints trustee under the deed as successor trustee. Person or persons legally entitled thereto. Yes. Now, let's say I'm a person or persons legally entitled to sue you for free. Well, I just need to know exactly what did JP Morgan Chase. I know Jamie Dimon. You're a little upset right now. Now, exactly when did that credit crisis start? Well, we had a Y2K. 2000. I thought it was 2009. Well, maybe I changed the mortgage or something. I might have refinanced. Oh. Now, I just thought I'd look and see. When was the date that I purchased that house? Yes, yes, yes. It was in December of 2000. Hang on, just December 14th of 2000. Yes. Paul C. Budnick. Oh, Clallam Title Company. Mm-mm. Now, December 14th of 2000, and the treasurer at that time, Teresa Marshy, county treasurer. Oh, now, exactly when was that marriage certificate issued? Yeah, I have a copy of it in here someplace. Yes. Now, oftentimes when I tell you have no jurisdiction, and Heidi didn't know anything because she filed for bankruptcy, yes, I did actually own a house when we got married. And I did have good credit and I was earning a very nice income. Yes. But you seem to think right now that I was what? I was abusive? I know every potential husband buys a place to live for their family before getting married. Yes. Because they think that this is a good idea. Now let's look at the marriage certificate from the United Nations. Marriage license. Let's say I sued you in the United Nations state of Washington. Each and every state, and the United States federal government for allowing for two dissolutions of marriage. Yes, we had no jurisdiction of law to issue the dissolution of marriage, and you had no jurisdiction of law to require child support. Yes, and you had no jurisdiction of law to file two of them. Oh, now that would be twice as many lawsuits in the United Nations. Yes. It would be twice as many lawsuits in the European Court of International. See, I think there is a humanitarian crime here. Yeah, there is. Now, I'm just looking for that marriage certificate. I know it's here someplace. Did you get a copy of it? The state of Washington's getting sued in the United Nations. Yes. For allowing for government employees that are sworn oaths. Yes. To intentionally file two different reference numbers so as to completely fuck up my life. Now, this was on December 18th of 2000. Yes, 4 days before I actually signed the documents. Right now, 4 days. Now, it must have been that right before we left to Kosovo, yes, I had purchased the house so that when we got back from Kosovo, we had a place to live as a family. That's right.